It starts with a woman named Lara, who is the leader of her group. But the surprising thing is that there are no men in her group. Rather, this group of men is only women. However, these are not ordinary women, but they have such a stubbornness that they can easily defeat anyone. Just then, they hear some sounds. Some mysterious sounds that come from the front. So Lara tells her army, "Release flares in the sky." As soon as they release flares in the sky, the entire scene in front is illuminated. It seems as if night has turned into day. This day was filled with black and terrible darkness. Because there are things coming from the front whose roar can separate anyone's soul from their body. But Lara's army responds to that roar by shouting and enters the fight. Then we see a girl named Villa, Lara's only daughter, and she is also protected in a safe house with her father Jonathan. You may be wondering what this safe house, this war, these creatures are actually about. So let me tell you. Actually, about 22 years ago, there was a clash in the universe due to which an unknown planet was completely destroyed, where some creatures lived, who had no idea about humans and humans did not know about them, but when their planet was destroyed, its pieces started flying around the universe and some of them hit our Earth, which resulted in a wormhole being born, and from this wormhole, those creatures slowly started coming into the Earth and they killed everyone. By everyone I mean only men. If they actually hurt someone, then they also become like them. But they do not have any effect on women. That's why Lara's army doesn't have a single man. Now these creatures are called howls. The name was given by the humans themselves. Poor Velato hasn't been out much since he was born. But he hears a lot from his father. What was the world like before? How it was surrounded by greenery. There were many people around, but everything ends. But Lara always assures her daughter that they will end everything. For this, she gives her some toys, mostly animals, so that she can understand what a dog, elephant, tiger, etc. looks like. So today is Villa's 16th birthday. For this reason, Lara gives her a gift made by herself, which is a wool cap, and she is very happy to receive it. She is even happier when her father gives her a toy dog and also promises that in the future he will give her a living dog, who will be her best friend. There is a very happy atmosphere, but seeing the scene outside, everyone is now scared and terrified. To make this atmosphere even more terrifying, a siren sounds. As a result, they realize that they have to evacuate this place. In fact, they have done this many times before. Whenever the howls can guess where people are, they start coming towards them. For this, they have to change their places repeatedly. There is a commotion all around. Everyone is afraid of losing their loved ones. In the meantime, Jonathan sees a wound on Lara's cheek, which when asked about, she tells him that he went to war and many of his soldiers died there, and this time he got this wound, but it has been 72 hours and nothing has happened to me yet. Jonathan is relieved to hear this, but he knows the end result. And for this reason, he hugs Lara with wet eyes and says that he cannot lose her at any cost. Villa does not keep his promise, but for how long, we will know later. He quickly takes as many people as possible to another place. Everyone has a fear in their eyes. But the fear of death can be seen in the eyes of men. However, Jonathan holds his daughter in his arms. Don't be afraid, your father will not let anything happen to you. But just then, the sound of roaring comes again. It seems that they have come. The next moment, the rain of bullets starts. Screams echo around. In the meantime, Howls pulls a lady out of their truck and the atmosphere becomes more terrifying. So Jonathan quickly takes Villa and hides under the truck. At this time, a house also comes near him. But before he can catch her, a soldier comes and separates her head from her body. From here, we understand that bullets have no effect on them. If they have to be killed, their heads will have to be cut off. As long as the soldiers are there, they tell the survivors to quickly go to the forest, so that they can hide themselves in the darkness. Here Lara is not saying goodbye to her daughter, husband, because she has decided to fight now. She will not leave her team like this. Villa does not leave her mother, but Jonathan knows that he has not made up his mind to sacrifice himself now. And in such a situation, he has no other choice, so he handles Villa and says that it is okay for you to go, come back if you can, without you we have a sea of tears in the eyes of the incomplete Villa. But Jonathan forbids her from crying and says that if we don't go now, everything will be over. The two of them go into the forest with the surviving people. In the meantime, we see that Howells bites an old man, which causes him to become like them. In this process, first the people's eyes turn black, then his body also starts to become like them. That is why he shoots Lady Soldier, so that he can get rid of the pain. Morning comes, but this is not an ordinary morning. There is a strange silence around. Whoever escapes at night is now scattered here and there. Thus, the two of them ran and came to the edge of a lake, where they luckily found a boat. But then someone's voice came from behind. Bill tells his father, maybe someone is in danger there. We should go and help. But Jonathan refuses. He thinks that now is not the time for us to trust anyone. But then an unknown man comes, who claims that he has this boat and a gun, so Jonathan softens up a bit. Because in such a situation, if you rush, your life can be lost. He uses his intelligence and he tells the man that we are here looking for food. At that time we see your boat, but it is useless because it has no fuel. But yes, if you want I can take you to a place where there is plenty of fuel with which you can go anywhere. Now that man agrees and both of them start going into the jungle. At that time Jonathan notices that the man has Howells bite marks on his stomach. He understands that the last round has come, so he very cleverly kills him with a knife and comes back and quickly takes the boat with Villa. Now, after going many miles away, they see an island which is going to be their new address. This place is surrounded by water from all sides, so it is more secure. Jonathan builds a house for himself and his daughter there. Now, slowly, he starts to spend time like this. Whenever the villa goes a little higher, he sees smoke rising in the distance and realizes that the destruction is not over yet. With a short break, I am going back to the main video. There is a special offer for you. In the world's most popular and trusted bookmaker app, you can win prizes ranging from live matches to iPhone laptops and even BMWs. Although it may sound unbelievable, many people have already received their rewards. Here you can predict the score while watching live matches. For example, which team will win, how many runs will be scored by which team, etc. Also, here you can win a lot of money by playing games, where everyone's favorite game is the crush game. Here, the higher the plane rises, the more money you can win. The best thing is that, if you use my promo code EMENDED, you can get a bonus of 20 to 30,000 taka. You can easily withdraw the money you want to Bcash, Rocket, Nagad or bank. And they have 24-hour customer support for any help. So what's the delay? Follow the instructions in the pinned comments and don't forget to use the promo code BOXMNTAN. The war is still going on. He also had this hope that his mother was alive, because she is his wife. On the other hand, Jonathan is now starting to get old and a little weak, because there is nothing to eat here properly. But yes, he cuts a lot of meat every day, so that if he ever dies, his daughter won't suffer. This is the duty of a father and he continues to perform it very well. One day when Villa is sitting high up, he sees a bird, which is a new experience for him. Before today, he has never seen anything that can fly. Villa starts following it, and reaches a high rock where he can find the bird's eggs. He takes 3 eggs, and leaves 1. He also says goodbye. When he brings the eggs down and gives them to Jonathan, he gets angry with her, because she disobeyed him and went too high. But Villa says she is tired of staying at home like this. She has to be brave like her mother, be strong. Jonathan understands that the time has come, and that is why today he gives her a tool for the first time and says, now you have to be like your mother, then fight with me. She comes in a very angry state and tries to defeat her father for a long time, but she cannot defeat him. But Jonathan is quite impressed by her courage, so he says that from tomorrow I will teach you to fight. That night, when they start preparing for dinner, Villa tries to tie her hair, but every time she makes some mistake, she starts crying and comes to Jonathan and says, why are you crying? I am here, let me tie your hair. This moment was very beautiful. Jonathan's eyes get wet because he misses Lara a lot now, but there is no trace of where she is, whether she is alive or not. There is no news, but yes, he certainly gives Willa this consolation that one day the house will be finished and the people of the world will be illuminated again. But until then, we need to tell our next generation about them so that they can be prepared for the fight. The next day, Jonathan lays some landmines on the riverbank. Although the Howells can't swim, but they are worried about their daughter. That's why he prepares everything in advance. In the meantime, Billa also comes there. Whoever can. He keeps seeing Howells. However, Jonathan tells him some more things about them. For example, they are much smarter. Because their brains are 4 times larger than humans. They have a special kind of power, with the help of which they can transfer all the information of any human into themselves in an moment. Billa is quite surprised to know these things. But Jonathan advises him not to be afraid and fight, for which he gives him a great training. Jonathan is surprised to see his sword wielding, because, for a moment it seems that Lara herself is wielding a sword in front of him. One day, we see that when Jonathan starts harvesting vegetables on the island, he is completely surprised to see one thing. So he goes to Villa. He brings it to him and says eat it. It contains strawberries, which Villa has never eaten before. That is why when he eats it, its taste is very good. But Jonathan does not believe that strawberries are still growing, because its production has completely ended many years ago. Now, 2 months later, when Billa was still returning with water every day, he saw something very strange. In fact, there was a girl who kept moving towards the place where Jonathan had put the mine. He shouted at her to stop and went to her and brought her to safety. The girl was very scared. So Billa told her to come to my house, but she refused. So he took her to a cave, where he himself often went. There, he gave her water to drink. When she calmed down a bit, he asked about her. She always told him her name, that she was with her brother and father in a boat. My father says that Howells can't swim, but now they can swim. They attack our boat where only I survive every day. He is very scared. He doesn't let him go anywhere. On the other hand, Jonathan waits all night for his daughter, but she doesn't come back. He thinks maybe she is dead or some animal has eaten her, but the next morning when he opens his eyes, he comes to his room in a flash. Jonathan drops the gun because he thinks maybe there is a Howells, but it is his daughter. He sees he gets a little peace, but he also gets quite scared. So here Villa lies that she got lost in the forest. That's why he is late now. Jonathan tells him that there is very little food left and the things he is trying to grow are not growing, so they will have to eat a little less. Villa replies yes, this morning before Jonathan gets up he will do something. He takes the leftover food to Rosie and gives it to her. She is hungry for a long time, so she eats the whole meal. Then the two talk, but in the middle of the conversation, she tells him that she lives with her father. She says that her mother comes here sometimes and she takes care of her. Rose also becomes a good friend to maintain this friendship. Billa gives her the woolen cap that her mother gave her and says that today it is hers. Then she quickly goes to her father because she is late for practice. Whenever the father and daughter start practicing, Jonathan suddenly falls down. Poor Billa gets scared. After a while, her song returns. Actually, she lacks food. Jonathan hasn't eaten anything for a long time because he keeps saving food for his daughter so that she can fill her stomach. This is what is called a father's love. Anyone who sees it gets wet eyes. He brings his father home with his shoulder support and tells him to rest. At this time, Billa starts looking for some food. But here Jonathan refuses to eat anything, because if he eats anything, the leftover food will also be gone. So, he convinces her that they will have to stay like this until her mother comes. But, as Billa shouts at her, you have to accept that truth in reality. Now my mother won't come. If she had any hope, she would have come any time. Hearing this, she also shouts at him. But then both of them fall silent, and then Jonathan gives her his sword as a gift, with which he kills the first horses. And with that, he says that now he deserves it, because he has the courage of his mother inside him, whom he can't hold back for much longer. And from today, he owns it. Billette is very happy and quickly takes the floor to the cave so that he can show Rosie, but she wasn't there. The cap she gave him was kept there. He is scared to see it, but then a voice comes from inside that he is afraid of. That's what makes Rosie Howell say, yes, Howells can now infect women too, because they are gradually becoming more advanced, like they learn to swim. That's why poor Villette panics in this situation, forgetting all his training because he can't believe that his friend will become like this. But Jonathan comes just in time and finishes him off. Otherwise, today's story could have been something else. But Jonathan quickly asked to leave here, because these houses can communicate with each other and, of course he tells everyone on that side, where there are people, Villa believed they could swim now. Knowing this, they both quickly started to move upwards. But there was no more strength inside Jonathan. He could support his daughter. On the contrary, he needed support, but still he keeps himself standing with the help of a thin stick, and they both start going towards the boat in which they come here. Now the journey of the two of them is about to begin, which is the most difficult yet. Jonathan is now tired because of the long walk, so he sits down under a tree and tells Villa that now his time is running out, but Villa is not alone here. Here he is always with her. That's why he always keeps these things in his mind that he taught her. Villa gets emotional and starts crying and says that nothing will happen to her, she will be with him, that's all he says. He lifts her with all his strength. But now there is an explosion, which he means because of a landmine. The two increase their speed a bit, but then a house comes from behind and attacks Jonathan. But then Villa comes from behind and separates his head from his body and saves his father's life. But this time, maybe Jonathan's body responds because he can't walk anymore, so when they reach the board his eyes get wet. Maybe he realizes that now is the time when he will say goodbye to his daughter. He knows in his heart that Lara will never come, so he tells her, I saved some food for you from the beginning, so you eat it and take care of yourself. Willa finds it very strange that, Dad, why are you telling me this? I'm not going alone anymore. You're going with me. But he doesn't make Jonathan Howell bite, because of which at any moment she will become like them, and she does not want him to accept his daughter in the form of that devil first, so she tells him with wet eyes that, go, you always have to be like your mother now. Time is coming, this life is now, you have to arrange it yourself. Villa comes down crying and starts pushing the boat, but it is now jammed. On the other hand, many howls start coming to her father, which sees that Villa has not taken out the bottom of her father's boat. The boat is not in a state like a man, so it is better to fight with your chest than to run away. Seeing the excitement in his daughter's eyes, Jonathan's veins feel like fire. He is very proud of his own daughter, and slowly those howls start coming to them. But then something happens that we did not expect. Some boats are seen in the water behind, in which the boat in front of all was not his, but Lara's. Both he and his promise survive. Now the fire inside the villa burns as soon as he arrives. He is fully prepared. On the other hand, Jonathan's eyes turn black. But his heart is still alive for his family. So he keeps fighting until his last breath. In this moment, this movie ends here. See you in a new movie series. Stay well, everyone, stay healthy.